This really is the idea that we have more and more prospects that we're reaching out to, particularly with digital marketing really taking off in the last 10 months. So, nearly every business I speak to are doing a lot more digital marketing. We're doing a lot more communicating, and we're also potentially building much larger databases. But then the challenge is to take all those prospects and all those potential partners, etc., and engage them and keep them engaged, and take them on a journey. So that's really what we're talking about today for the next hour. I am a PR man of about 25 years. I've been running my own operation called Agility PR since June 2003, and I'm glad to say quite a few clients and ex-clients are with us on the webinar today. My background right back in the day, in sort of in the late 80s, early 90s, was working in Hong Kong for Saatchi & Saatchi's PR arm, then called Roland. So I was working with the likes of the great Hong, Jardine Matheson, helped Pfizer, the famous Pfizer today, with slightly less glamorous product. It was a Plax Oral Healthcare. It was a mouthwash, essentially. And a number of other big clients that sort of got my career off the blocks. And then I worked in technology PR for more than 10 years with a number of agencies, culminating in running a team within Citygate G. Rogerson, which is a big investor relations outfit based in the city, handling a lot of AIM flotations and listings in those days and mergers and acquisitions, focused, as I say, on technology businesses. So I've listed a few of the businesses I've been involved with that have either floated, completed acquisitions, been acquired. So the latest one is an existing client still with me, Dunstan Thomas, pensions technology firm that was bought by the AIM-listed Curtis Banks Group, which is a SIP and platform business. So very much working with tech firms, tend to be in high growth, scale up or high growth mode. Some of them are in startup mode. So Spectral Edge, for example, was essentially a startup that was looking to get acquired quite early in its cycle, and it was did very well. And after a pretty aggressive PR campaign, they were actually purchased by Apple. So that's me. What I've decided to do, I mean, again, this has been a sort of lockdown thing, was to summarize, really, to just encapsulate essentially what I've been doing mainly for tech firms for the last 15 years or so, and mainly focused in the area of thought leadership. So this is the idea that you can design campaigns which deliver very specific results in terms of objectives and in terms of communicating to audiences that you're trying to communicate and engage with, and of course eventually sell to. And at the heart of that is the green section there, research, which is essentially about injecting new insights into what you're communicating. What is a content journey? So we've talked about customer journeys, for example, when people go into your websites, what journey do you expect them to take, and what type of content do you expect them and want them to consume? It starts with simply awareness. So in the PR world, that might be simply about brand building and increasing brand recognition through corporate PR activity and just generally getting your name out there. It's not particularly sophisticated necessarily, and it's work that is often now done in digital advertising areas. For example, a lot of people are using LinkedIn at the moment to raise brand awareness. But progressively, you're looking to move people through interest, desire, and then on into action. You need to build content which assists that journey. In other words, different type of content at different stages of the sales cycle. If we're trying to progressively engage our prospects, what do we need to put them? What do we need to put in front of them to move them on to that next stage? And I've created a little model here, which perhaps begins to at least visualize, if you're building a campaign, what this might look like in terms of actual content. And I always say that content should be the grease that moves your sales leads coming in at the top of the hopper through a gradual process of engagement and through into a hot lead to the point where you can actually expect to hand it over to the sales team and they can actually do something with it. But the world's moved on. I think digital marketing basically gives us a lot more options. I'm going to go into what in the digital world they call lead magnets now, because this is really what I'm talking about in terms of getting new people onto your database. There are many, many routes that the digital marketeers have dreamt up. Most of those routes, I have to say, are content-led. It could be a business guide, it could be a management report, it could be a checklist, a toolkit, a webinar. And some of these are also qualifying lead magnets. So they're not only about attracting new leads to sign up, gathering leads, they're also about qualification. So you'll see people encouraging you to take a survey, to do an assessment, to sign up for a 30-day challenge. So essentially these are more than lead magnets in terms of gathering leads. They're engagement devices as well, and they're qualification devices. So they can be incredibly powerful. A lot of this wasn't easy to do pre-digital, but it's now exceptionally easy, and there are many, many tools to help you do many of these things. So, for example, just today, I was talking to a digital marketing guy that I often talk to, and he's using assessments. There's some technology called Typeform specifically to help with launching assessments within your website, and he's doing that. And they're basically advanced surveys, which are giving you scores, which enable you to communicate back to that prospect some useful information in a largely automated manner. I think there's a big, big opportunity there, basically to stimulate engagement, but partly to give you more business intelligence about these leads as they're coming in by using some of these qualifying leads. And we can talk about that in a little bit more detail, because I'm going to show you some examples. So essentially what we did with NW Security is they wanted to know some very specific things about CCTV users, existing CCTV users, medium-sized businesses across the UK. So we took a survey with about 12 questions out to the market, and we got 103 responses, very detailed responses about how they were managing their CCTV systems, what they were planning to do in terms of technology and increased integration, what their constraints were in terms of improving their systems, what the appetite was to improve CCTV systems generally, and specific areas like cloud migration, for example. It's definitely helped their engagement. It's helped their SEO, which is also important for them because they've got a very large CCTV web shop. So to a certain extent, this is also about creating good, fresh, interesting content, which of course these campaigns always deliver. Clients, when they get on this road, they find they're able to engage prospects more easily. They're able to close business quicker. In fact, NW Security have closed a piece of business literally in the last 3 weeks. So it greases the wheels. It greases the sales funnel, speeds it up. you've got to believe in the process of wanting to engage with prospects more deeply, more consistently. In terms of LinkedIn, I found it incredibly effective for connecting and sharing content. So if you are a relatively small business, being able to say precisely the sorts of people that you're trying to connect with, and then go on a connection regime to actually form those connections through LinkedIn, and then serve them with articles and posts and LinkedIn events, and if necessarily some branded advertising, for example. It's working extremely well for a lot of firms. And of course, it's got Sales Navigator. So if you're having trouble identifying the people that you think you need to reach, you can go across to Sales Navigator, spend I think it's about $70 a month, and you'll be able to find those people, find the sorts of people you're looking for, and then start your connection regime. And we've got a service for that at Agility for what I call connection and engagement. It highlights the need for high quality content, which has got specific purpose in mind, that's geared to different stages of that sales cycle and different stages of engagement. You have to be extraordinarily generous in your gifting of opinions, views, insights, and thought leadership. So it's an investment, but it's an investment with a view to continual engagement, or bringing new people in and engaging them. I just think it's part of doing business today. I just think we need to recognize this as part of running a business. In the past, we used to all trot off to exhibitions and spend vast amounts of money there. I think now we need to be doing this engagement digitally, or at least a good portion of it needs to be done digitally, and then we need to bring people into virtual events while the face-to-face ones aren't possible, and work them as hard as we possibly can. Well, you guys probably want to get off on the button because it's 5 o'clock Friday, so I don't want to keep you away from your weekends, but I really do hope it was useful. And if you want further dialogue, please do come back. If you want a little bit of advice on how to build that content journey, more than happy to give you a steer. And I'll be doing another one of these webinars before the end of February. So I'm aiming to do one a month. Fantastic. So keep well, keep marketing, and good luck for 2021, everyone.